Hey, Bernice.
Ah, there you are. I said, I've been having such a hard time getting on recently,
Mm-hmm.
so I thought I would get on a little early.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
So
I'm
so
happy.
far, it's only the two of us.
Yeah, we've got like 5 minutes.
Yeah, yeah. We got a few seconds or so.
Yeah. So how are you doing?
So far, so good.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I got your work and I got it in the
Uh-oh.
queue. So
Huh?
actually, we're going to be talking about you probably first.
Oh, okay. So you're not going reverse order.
No,
Well, that's good.
we do that sometimes just to sort of,
Uh-huh.
make it fair.
Just to break the monotony.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, because somehow, Veronica and Wanda probably get tired of always being last.
Yep.
And so, try to
Believe
get.
it or not, I thought more people were on about 5 till.
It depends. Usually
It depends.
Tuesdays, not so much because both Eloise and Bob are, doing their portrait class. So,
Do they do that in the morning or in the afternoon?
um, well, they
I
used,
know it's more than an hour class, so
yeah,
it might maybe 4 hours or something.
I think 3 hours is
3, okay.
yeah, most studio classes run about 3 hours,
3 hours, okay.
unless you're
So
at the senior. You know, I had that argument when I first started working in a senior center. It's like, oh, you can't have a 2 hour class. It's way too long for them. They won't hold up to that. Like, are you kidding me? It's like, come on. Most studio classes, if you go to any like atelier or anything like that, they're sometimes they're 4 and 5 hour long, painting sessions.
But for seniors, it's not like that. Because as a matter of fact, that's the first thing I thought when they asked me to come and go. I was like, 2 hours? Not me.
Yeah, but
But
2 hours in an art class is nothing.
it's nothing.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, look, it takes you 20 minutes to half an hour just to sort of get set up and get your head wrapped around what you're going to be trying to do, and uh, and then it takes you another half hour to 45 minutes to really kind of get into it. So,
You get your paint and your brush and
well,
your
yeah, and
canvas.
just kind of get the feel of how that brush is working on the surface, the canvas that day or whatever. It's something you got to be patient with. You can't, it's not just gonna happen. It just doesn't come out that way. It takes a little bit of time. It's like, well,
Oh, that's heart and spirit. Whoever heart and spirit is.
that's Veronica.
Veronica.
Yeah.
She's all green.
Yeah, but have you ever gone to like the symphony orchestra?
Have you gone to what now?
Like a symphony orchestra event?
No.
No, you don't.
Mm,
You don't listen to classical music.
not much.
Okay. Well, if
If it's I probably hear it only if it's the background for a movie or something.
okay. Well, if you ever
But I
went,
don't really.
yeah,
Huh?
if you ever went to the symphony, right? Usually they open up the doors about an hour to hour and a half before the actual concert, right?
Oh, okay.
And the whole time that you're sitting there, you talking to people and stuff like that, you hear the musicians in the background, and they're playing.
Mm-hmm.
They're playing. They're practicing. They're playing certain parts of some of the music that they're maybe going to play. But they're warming up. They're tuning their instrument. They're getting ready. And just getting kind of in the rhythm. Of how to
Mm-hmm.
play that instrument and stuff. And they're all kind of there together. And it's chaos. It's just all this sound in the background. But 45 minutes to an hour, they'll do that, just and so that way when the actual concert begins, they're warmed up. They kind of it's just like a painter. Like the first 10, 15 minutes, sometimes you feel a little stiff. Everything's not kind of flowing. The brush isn't quite doing what you want it to do. But after about half an hour or so into it, everything begins to kind of flow a little bit. And so it's that transition between what you're imagining in your head and getting it out onto that canvas, or into that musical instrument or whatever to make that sound. But it's got to start in your mind. It's got to start in your head first. Kind of your thoughts flowing, and being in physical bodies the way we are, it takes time to do that. It doesn't happen quickly, and so that's one of the reasons that art classes run longer, than say a math class or an English class, because you've got to make that transition from that mental process, that thinking process, into physical action, and kind of get the two, working together. But that's why we have 3-hour model sessions.
There's John.
Yeah.
Hello.
And I saw somebody else.
Oh,
Susan. Hello, Susan.
Yeah, we got Susan,
Hello,
Ron,
hi, Joe.
who's here. Yeah. So yeah, we're beginning to get quite a crowd here.
Yay.
Yay. Yeah.
It's the weather. Everybody's
It's
slow.
cold outside.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
it is.
Yeah, but it's Tuesday, Yeah. Well, speaking of cold, this morning, woke up actually a little late. Usually I get up, 5, 6 o'clock. But this morning, light was beginning to come in the room. It wasn't quite sunrise yet, but I got a chance to stand outside with a cup of coffee and watch the sun come up over the horizon line. And
Okay.
it was just beautiful this morning, all the purples and, bright kind of yellow.
Yeah, they've been saying the last couple of days the sunrises have been spectacular.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have to get up one morning and see one.
Well,
I don't get
really go out.
yeah. Well, the cloud cover is so low that, right at sunrise, it like
Right.
lights up the whole bottom of the clouds. And so there's all these pinks and purples and oranges. So, beautiful color. Yeah. So if you don't mind being just a little bit wee nippy, just, put on something warm, have you a cup of coffee, to wrap your little, mitts around, and, watch the sunrise. So, but yeah, it was beautiful this morning. Anyway, speaking of beautiful things, guess what we're going to do? We're going to jump in here, and we're going to start looking at some artwork, okay? Everybody doing okay?
So far.
Yeah. No, I had a rough morning. Somebody hacked into my Apple ID in China.
Oh,
You did what?
Charged $700.
for what?
Say what? What happened, John?
My Apple account.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Somebody hacked in
Yeah.
from China.
Yeah. What did they buy?
Charged $700 to my Apple account.
Yeah, but what did they charge? What were their charges for? What were they buying?
They didn't tell me,
No?
and I don't know how they hacked in because I don't usually log into Apple. I mean, I buy a lot of things on Amazon, but I'm trying to think if I got a new app or something, and I can't remember now. But they asked me if I used a public Wi-Fi, and I was on the Comcast Wi-Fi, and I was having trouble with mine last week. So somehow I don't know how they got into Apple, but I
Yeah.
spent almost 2 hours on the phone this morning, and it's still not resolved.
Yeah. Yeah, I get like a lot of like fake, it's like, kind of like these things where, well, thank you for your purchase of yada, 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 yada. And
Yeah, but they
yeah,
aren't really charged.
yeah, well, but then then somewhere in there it gives a link that you're supposed to click on. But if you
Yeah,
click on the link,
never.
yeah, if you click on the link, then that's when they get your,
Right.
information,
Uh,
and then they
I'm
can,
usually pretty cautious with that, so I have no clue how they got in.
yeah, I generally don't, if it's something, that I don't recognize, generally I don't open those things.
So I had to reset all my passwords, and it's been a crazy morning.
Yeah. Well, sorry to hear that, such
It'll
a,
get resolved
yeah,
Yeah, it will, but it's
in your favor.
eventually.
yeah. Well, and the fact is, I mean, it's pretty clear that you didn't make those charges. So
Yes, right.
for the most part, if you
Yeah,
use,
no.
you use like PayPal or Apple or
It was just on a regular debit card on file.
yeah, but most of those are insured, and protected, so that
Yeah.
if there's some kind of fraud, you're not held responsible. So anyway,
I'm having trouble hearing you again, Charles. I don't know what it is about. I can hear everybody else, but I just am not. You're like missing words, or you're
breaking up.
dropping.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I don't know. Maybe you're getting too far back or something. I don't know. But,
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I'm kind of unhappy about that, but that's a whole nother thing. Because
Did you get your computer back yet?
yeah. They put in a new speaker, and evidently, well, they can't get a new speaker for this. They're all older parts that have been
Right.
refurbished. And interestingly enough, with that speaker, when they replace it, somehow the microphone for the computer is built in and attached to that speaker. And so when they replace that speaker, but it's, I may have to go out and get an external microphone.
and
Do you have any earbuds or ear plug with a speaker?
Not really. Yeah. No, I've got the little headset, the earphones, but yeah, no, I don't have one of the wraparound things, but the speaker that you talk into. Yeah.
Because those will override that
Yeah.
computer.
Yeah, and I might end up having to go out and do that. That or just get an external mic. I can do that too. So
Either way, yes.
yeah, I've got to look on Amazon. But I'm going to have to take this back to them because actually what I asked was that they replaced both speakers. They didn't do that. They replaced the one, and the other one over here. When I just used the speaker on the Mac without any external speakers, it's got like a rattle in it. It's like there's something not quite right with it, like it's going out or something. And so I'm going to have to take it back to them and say, yeah, not really happy with what you did. The question is, when can I do that? Around Christmas when I'm not teaching classes.
Right.
Because I don't want to pull this thing now and take it back down to them and have them sit on it for 3 weeks again, to get parts and stuff to it. So for now we're gonna deal with what we got. Anyway, let's jump on into this and take a look at some of the work you guys sent in. And so we don't have a lot in for it. We got a little bit, but not like a whole much. Anyway, we're gonna start with Bernice. Can you hear me now, Bernice?
Yes, yes. I can hear you.
Okay, can you see your painting of your flower?
Yes.
Okay, so you want to tell us a little bit, well, let me click through the three of these and then I want you to kind of explain to everybody what you did. So
Okay.
Bernice sent in this painting. She sent in her sketch, and this is her sketch from memory. And then this is what she was looking at. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So
Yeah, I think you just about told it. I took this picture on a nice sunny day. I think it's a geranium. Yeah, it's sitting by my mailbox actually. But it's just about gone, really. But that little bit was still there. And so I said, well, let me just take a close up of that. And then I actually stood by a lot longer than 15 minutes. I stood there. I tried to remember that the leaves were heart shaped and whatever, and the flower took the left one leaf and right. Anyway, so I took that and I stared at it, and then I came in and tried to draw it, and so today I said, let me look at it again. I remember you said. So I'll just look at it, and I remember you were saying about simplifying drawings. That may not have been what you meant, but so I said, well, let me just simplify the painting.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So, your drawing, okay, you've got a lot of the basic shapes and kind of the scale or the proportion. It's pretty
I think my leaves are too big.
well, your flowers could have been bigger. Okay.
Okay.
Your flowers could have been bigger. And the shape of your flowers, like the petals, you've got yours kind of pointed, and these are kind of like round on the end, and they're pointed in toward the middle. You see that?
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's kind of the one of the kind of things that you really want to look at very carefully. What are the shapes and how do they kind of fit together and how do they work? But did you accomplish looking at it and kind of remembering the shapes of the leaves and overall shape of the flowers, things like that? Yeah, you did. And it looks like you were drawing flowers, in your sketch. In your painting, in some ways, you did better. Well, because
Really?
because you simplified, this into like a big pink mask, which if you look at the image, is pretty close to what's going on there. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now, in your painting, you could have like closed this area in so that it felt like it came in front of the stem instead of the stem lined up
Okay.
in the middle of it, because you don't really see the stem, moving up. It stops because the flowers are closer to us.
Oh, yeah, it does. It does.
And
Okay.
look at the overall shape of the flowers. Not the individual flowers, but if you look at them, they're kind of an oval, aren't they? So, you're the way you laid the paint down and stuff, you began to get that sort of oval shape going there. You just left a gap in there, and you could have just kind of gone right over that, and it would have been a little bit closer to what you were actually seeing, at the time. But like I said, this is kind of a quick block in. How long did it take you to do this?
Believe it or not, it took me, the longest part was the looking at it itself. Like when I came in to draw it, I was like, let me draw it fast before I forget. So I drew it in about 5 minutes. And same thing with the paint. I said, let me do it before I still remember something in it.
Okay. Yeah. And, if, as you said, as an exercise, looking at it, you got a lot of it right. Look at the like the color. The colors seem to be pretty close, right? You didn't end up with like a bright orangey red. You ended up with something that was cooler, more magenta, which is what you were actually seeing them. And so, good exercise. So,
Oh, well, thank you.
all right.
Yeah, I'm gonna play with it some more. I may even paint it for real.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But, as you do this, stop, don't be in a big hurry, and really look at, what's there. Like, for example, okay, so first thing is the color of this is just really kind of cool magenta, but there are these sort of warmer reds in there as an accent along with it. And then if you look at the flowers themselves, so you really see just two flowers mainly. And then occasionally you get petals from other flowers that are behind them, right? But it's really just two main flowers that you're seeing. So, well, maybe three.
Yeah, that third was just between the two in
Yeah,
front.
a little bit squeezed in. Okay.
Right there, yeah.
Okay. All right. So, okay. So three of them. And, just look at the shapes of them and how much of that area do they really take up? This one obviously is the biggest, right? And then this one is probably the next biggest, and this is smaller between the three. So looking at the proportions of them and trying to get some of that down there, before you break them down into like individual petals and stuff like that. Just spend some time really trying to figure out what you're really looking at there. And that way you can translate it into your drawing or your painting. Okay?
Because I see what you do a lot of. You do the color blocking thing.
Mhm.
And I haven't figured out how to do that color blocking yet. If you put your color blocks in first and then you do your detail.
Mhm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the thing is, see, painting that way, you don't have to worry so much about the specific shape of things. You don't need all these details. It's just a big overall pink shape and, kind of a big oval area, right? And you fill that all in with, that magenta color. Then from there, you start, figuring out where the individual flowers are and what the shapes are. And then you break it into petals, and then you can come back in and put in the warmer reds, and then the whites, the kind of white areas. So you're breaking it down, from bigger things to smaller things. And the more detail you put in it, the more it begins to look like flowers. And probably the last thing I would do is come back in and then, paint in the background and use the background to kind of create the individual, shapes and your quote unquote detail, because that's really where, if there's any detail in there, that's it.
I do have one question to ask, and that is, did you not get my ballerina from Friday? I think I sent it in on because I said let me go send this in.
I thought I did. I got a bunch of ballerinas. Hang on. Let's take a look. Let's go look, see if we can find your, okay, let's see. Yeah. That's Monday. This is Saturday. You said, yeah, okay. Here you go.
It may have been Saturday, but I think it was Friday though. It may have been Saturday.
Let's see what I got here. Yeah, here it is. Yeah. I thought I had downloaded that, but there you go. Okay. Let's see if I forgot anybody else. Is it John from? Okay. Well, all right. Wanda. Yeah, I think I missed Friday. How do we? All right, we're getting there slowly but surely. Okay, that's the thing. So have me find. Let's see what else I can get here. All right, so let's go back to you guys.
Well, I can resend it in for Thursday. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, you don't have to send it back in. I got it.
Okay.
Okay. You know, I just have to. Yeah, I just do it now. Now it may not be in order, but we'll deal with that as we go along here. Close that for a second. Let's move you guys out of the way just a little bit.
I'm hearing a clicking noise,
Yeah,
and I barely hear your voice.
That's my computer. That's me clicking on my laptop. Okay.
Okay, well, that I'm hearing, but I'm just not hearing what you're saying. I don't.
Oh, because I'm muttering.
Okay.
You know, I'm working and thinking and talking at the same time. There we go.
So I'm not supposed to hear you. Okay.
No, you probably don't want to. All right. So let's hear. I'm getting ahead of myself here. Yeah. No. Cancel that for a moment. All right. Now I got to open them all back up again. All right. You know, it's you gotta press the buttons. All right. So let's try this again. All right. I think we're there. All right, so let's share again. And now we got new things in there, like, does that look like your ballerina?
All I is Charles Stockton. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's it.
that's it. Okay, good. So you can see it. Okay, good. All right. So yeah, this is your ballerina from Friday. Now it looks like you did a grid.
Yeah, that's why I call it my cheat draw. I took a ruler and held it kind of up to the computer and just drew a line down the middle and the side of the middle.
Yeah. Well, you were kind of breaking.
They're not straight line. They're not straight lines. I just kind of drew them on my paper. You know, I just drew. Okay, there's the first line.
Yeah.
But they're kind of, they're just lines.
Right. Okay.
Give me an idea of what.
Right. Okay.
That's why I say I cheated.
Okay. Well, there is no such thing as cheating. Okay. In art.
I can barely, huh?
I said there is no such thing as cheating in art. So, so first of all, you don't have to worry about that. But my question to you is, okay, so you drew the grid.
Oh.
Now, did you draw the grid first and then the ballerina? Or did you start working on the ballerina and decide to add the grid?
I know I draw the grid first. I drew it on my, on my paper. And then I drew the first line of the grid. So I knew what was right in the middle. I drew the middle, the middle line of the grid.
Okay.
And then I drew two lines on each side of it.
Okay. So you divided it horizontally first. And then
Right.
then you put in the vertical lines?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Then let's see, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, why did you break it up?
Well, I started to erase them because I thought I could do it with just the middle line, and I thought just the one line in the middle, and I thought no, I need need a line between the line on in the middle and the line on the end. So I put another line in.
Because I'm just looking at your grid.
You know what I'm saying? Okay, and just the line on the left has been kind of erased, but if I put a line in the middle and a line on each side, it would have been 3 lines, which I came up with. I thought that's not enough for me, so I added a line between the 2 lines. Are you following me?
I am somewhat, but here.
But let me start over. At first, I drew a line. Well, I just took my ruler, put it on the screen, and put a line straight. Okay, that's right down the middle. Okay. Okay, and then I put a line on each end, right? A line right by her hand, arm, and another line right by her feet.
All right. So I have a couple of things to say about using a grid.
Okay.
Grids are not bad ideas sometimes. Okay. But if you're going to use a grid, then make sure that your distances and your measurements are equal. Don't make some bigger, some smaller. They should be, generally the same. Each square should be a square. It should be as tall as it is wide. All right, so that your units of measurement are the same in both directions. You understand? And then you can begin to, like, if you're drawing the figure, right? You can find, the distance halfway down from, say, the hand to the toe, and wherever that is, that's what you place on that center line of the grid, going horizontally. And then as far as from the front edge of the figure to the back edge of the figure, you could figure out what is halfway, which is probably really about the back of her leg, and you place that on that center line. See? And then you build out from there, and that way how many of those squares you need for the length of that leg, or the length of this leg, or the torso. Yeah. And that way that things are proportional to each other. Because if you have a combination of some grids being wider, some being narrower, then that's going to take parts of that figure and compress it in the smaller ones, or expand it in the larger ones. That's why they need to be equal. So if you're gonna take the time to put down a grid, then use a ruler and measure it, and make sure that your units of measure are equal.
I thought about that, but I said I probably couldn't do that, and that's why I just kind of drew them. I couldn't do that in the 50 minutes that we had, so I just kind of drew some lines down and drew some lines across.
Yeah. I know that.
Could I have drawn a grid in 50 minutes and put her in?
Yeah, you probably could have.
No.
You could have. Now, would you have maybe gotten as far in the drawing? Maybe not. But, would you get things proportionally, more accurate about where things were in relationship to each other? Yeah, probably. Because then, things would have kind of lined up, the way you wanted them to. So, like I said, there's nothing really wrong with using a grid. And if you're doing, figure drawings, and you want to take a little bit of time and lightly draw in a grid on your paper before we start the drawing, that more than likely on Friday we're going to do a figure, right? And so you could have a page or two already with a grid on it that you pre-measured,
Oh, okay.
and then use that grid, once you start measuring the figure, to find, what half of the figure is both vertically and horizontally. And then, from, find the overall proportions, and then,
And the inside of my grid should be square too, Charles. The inside of my grid should be square though, shouldn't it?
Uh-huh.
Not rectangle, but square.
Yeah. Well, generally, yeah. You
Okay. Yes. That's what I didn't do.
Yeah. Usually, when you start with a grid, it's not rectangular in shape. It's the same width as it is the same height. See, that way,
Right.
that way, again, you can check those units of measure. Is the figure taller than it is wide, right? Now, you're gonna have a grid there. That doesn't mean you have to use the whole box, right? You just use the portions you want. So if the longest length is, like in this case, vertical, then the whole figure would run from the top of the grid to the bottom of the grid. But maybe it's not as wide, so it's not going to fill up the whole grid, from left to right. You'll have a couple boxes that are, filled in. But having a grid there, then that's where you approach doing the drawing a little differently, because you're trying to find, where's the middle, from the top of the fingertip to the toe, where's that halfway point? And then from, say, the front, the thing that's furthest to the left, which is really the edge of her dress, all the way back to her back toe, again, where's the middle point of that? And again, it's going to go right dead center, in your grid, right? So, and then you, like I said, once you found that center point, both horizontally and vertically, then you can build up from there, and you know that your proportions will be correct. All right?
Okay. Got it.
Yeah, grids are a lot of work. They are. They take up a lot of time. And, like I said, if you, as a preparation for doing a figure drawing, if you want to start off by doing a grid before you start the drawing session and have several pages, of pages with grids on them already, so that when you're looking at the figure, then you can just start doing your measurements. That's fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can do that.
Until I get confident, and I try to do it without it.
Yeah. But, honestly, I mean, like I said, I'm not a big advocate of them, but, if it's something that makes you more comfortable, then fine, do it. Okay. All right. All right. And we've already looked at the flower. All right. So I'm going to show you these. Bob's not here, but
The fluffy one.
Yes. This is the portrait commission that Bob is working on, the dog. And so, little by little, he's getting there. And, the contrast in this is really kind of nice. The blue background is very cool in temperature. And because the dog is quote unquote white, the gray values that he's using tend to be kind of warmer in feeling, almost kind of brown in nature. But it really helps pull the dog forward and push the background back. So it's nice the way they handled that. And we'll talk to them more about that on Thursday. This doesn't look like it's a real big painting. It's probably, like 11 by 14, maybe 16 by 20, but I don't think it's that big. Here's
And the little blue
the little blue what?
name.
Oh, the name tag.
Wait, with the back.
Yeah, Wallace. Yes. Yeah, the dog's name is Wallace, and yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
it's a little metal dog.
It really looks with
You're
that
breaking.
blue background. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you were breaking up a
Oh,
little bit. Okay. But yeah, the name tag, is really the only thing
oh.
that's really cool, on the dog. Everything else is kind of warmer. Then we've seen this before, but I think he went back in and he softened some of the fabric, some of the folds in the fabric. He softened down even more, and then I think he put in the color on the floor. So, but yeah, we'll let him get here on Thursday and he can tell us more about it. Let's see, jumping ahead. So we have John, and so this is the watercolor of the ballerina that John sent in, which is really quite nice. You there, John?
Oh, okay. Mhm.
John?
Yeah, I wasn't seeing the picture. Yes, I'm here.
Okay. All right.
I'm here.
Okay. So this is the watercolor version.
Well, I did the drawing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Here's the drawing that you sent in.
That I did in class.
Right. Yeah. And then from there you went to the watercolor.
No. Okay.
Okay. Did everybody get the reference? I sent that out that afternoon.
I did.
Oh.
I did.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I wanted you guys to have that. So John, questions?
Yes.
All right. So you did the watercolor. Okay. You
Yes.
Were you looking
Yes.
were you looking at the reference when you did the watercolor?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. All right. Because
Yeah.
we're having a
Because
bad
of what?
we're having a bad connection here because
Yeah, I
Yeah,
can hear. Yeah, you're correct.
Break it out.
there's a lot of stuff breaking up here. Hang on one second. Let me see if I can do. I'm using the county hotspot. Let's see if this works better. All right. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see if this goes a little smoother. I'm on the house Wi-Fi now. Okay, so my question is, when we look at the actual image of this, there's a stronger like light and shadow.
Yes.
Yeah, and you don't quite have that in the watercolor.
Correct. No, I know. Right.
Yeah, I mean you do have it in the skin tones, but on the actual torso, you've got a slight indication of it, but you could have really kind of pushed the values down a little deeper in here. And that would have given it a little more of a three-dimensional feel to it that it doesn't have right now. It's still a little bit flat, particularly, across the body and, in the dress itself. Are you finished with this, or is that kind of?
I thought I was. Yeah.
I thought you were. Okay. Well, no, if you're done with it, you're done with it. It's fine. But I didn't know whether you had intended to try to build up more value, here in the body or not. If you're going to do something to this, that's kind of what I would recommend that you spend your time doing, really looking at the values and trying to get the form to turn, particularly across the torso, and then also finding some places here where the skin tones show through the fabric. Because you could actually see her legs through some of, the fabric.
That's right.
The fabric was kind of translucent. So,
I tried a little bit on the lower leg. I think I got around the calf area
Yeah, a little. Yeah, a little bit there.
a little bit there, but not at the top. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, you could push that a little bit further
Yeah.
and get a little more color in there for the skin tone. So then we have, this is something that you had worked on, before. And we
A couple of months ago. Right.
Yeah. And we kind of talked about how you sort of soften, this figure, into this one. And still yet get him to come forward. Now, between the two of them, they're still all, I mean, he's a little bit stronger in contrast in value. So you've got stronger, stronger light. She's a little bit softer. But because the fact that you chose to put a lot of color in her, she's still wanting to come forward. See? And if he's going to be the main character, then I probably would have put more color in him and less color in her. Kept her softer to get her to sit back. And then instead of, like a real dark value, have some kind of gradation going on in here so that it softly, transitions into her face. Whether you lose a little bit of the top part of his head, in her cheek or whatever, that's fine. You could do that. It doesn't have to, you don't have to have everything there. It's just the suggestion, that, his face is there. And then the rest of it can just kind of fade off into her. I think when you did this, didn't I find some illustration samples or something?
You did a few, and I did save those, and I did look at them. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, because the when you're trying to do stuff like that, it's the key thing is all about making that transition from one thing to another kind of subtle.
Yeah.
And not real abrupt. Because the more abrupt you make it, then it's like you really place one thing like way in front of another.
Right.
When they're subtle, then they all kind of fit together like a puzzle. I'll see if I can find some good examples of that for you and send them to you.
I'd say I did save the drawings you did, and I did look at them.
Yeah, but yeah, there's some things that I could show you out there, I'm sure, that might help you with that. It's a good idea. I mean, and that's the thing, it's a really good idea. You just have to figure out, how to work it out subtly so that it, it really kind of works together. So yeah, we'll probably be talking about that a little bit more.
Okay.
Here's your drawing, from Friday. And again, where you've placed your shadows and the contrast and everything there, really, pretty good. Again, you could have probably pushed the value in here just a little bit more than you did, but still you've got enough in there that it begins to sort of look around and work for you. So, yeah.
And you have my still life from memory that we talked about, but the ice bucket, glass ice bucket still life.
Well, yeah, we talked about that, didn't we?
Well, you had the reference, but you didn't have the
the actual thing.
Right.
Well, we wouldn't got that. I thought we.
Yeah, you had the reference, but you said you had it, but somehow didn't get into the lineup.
Okay, let me see here real quick. Let's see what we got for you. a still life that is not the back.
Yeah, I had sent that first, then I sent the reference later.
Mm-hmm. Are you talking about the still life that we did as a drawing, right?
No, my memory thing, because the glass ice bucket.
Oh, okay. Okay. I wasn't seeing that one. Let's see if I have it under drawing.
That was my memory drawing.
Mm-hmm. Makes you kind of wonder whether I have a memory. Let's see. Yeah. I remember seeing it. Now, whether I coded it or not, that's a whole other bit. Let's see. But I thought we had downloaded it, and I thought we had kind of talked about it briefly.
No, I say we just had the reference. We talked a little bit about the reference, but you didn't know what I had done. But you said you had it and you'd seen it, because the reference had a bowl in the back and a glass in the front, and my painting just did the one glass without the bowl in the back.
Yeah.
And you'd made a comment about that, but you didn't actually have it in the lineup.
Okay. I can check. When did you send that on Friday?
Well, no, must have been before. We talked about it Thursday, so it must have been before that.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm okay.
Maybe Wednesday.
Friday. Well, here's Friday class, and yeah, that's the ballerina. So it had to be before that. So here's 20-minute reference.
I don't remember if it was on Thursday or if it was Tuesday.
Yeah. Okay, so here's your reference for the drawing that you were doing.
And the drawing was sent before that. And you said you had seen it.
Yeah, share my memory assignment. Okay. Yeah, it had come in just before it. We're downloading it.
Yep.
Slowly but surely. Computers. Okay. Now I've got a color version, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
It's a watercolor.
Right. So it wasn't like a drawing. It wasn't a black and white, right?
Right. Correct.
Okay. So let's see. Let's stop sharing that for a moment. Let's close those. And let's move those into the lineup so that we can look at them. We don't want to put them in there. I'm going to get back to today's class. All right. So let's try this again. All right. We'll get there.
Okay.
All right. So let's try that again. All right. So let's go down. All right. Yeah. Aha. So here's the reference that you're talking about. So this is
Correct.
the ice bucket. Okay.
Right.
And then this is the painting. Ta-da.
That's it. A third grade painting.
You know, you took on something that was kind of a bit challenging. Okay.
Okay.
You know, because one, it's transparent,
Right.
and then you know, in the painting, you chose to simplify the background and take out
Right.
a lot of the elements.
Correct.
That in some ways could have actually helped you, you know, like having this here to kind of pull off the whole idea that it's transparent.
Okay.
Yeah. And the other thing I wanted to point out to you is that as far as your perspective, right, where are you in relationship to, you know, the ice bucket? You know, is it at your eye level, above your eye level, or below?
Just a little bit above.
No, a little bit below. Yeah. Your eye level would be somewhere like.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. And so, yeah, because the ellipse here, see, it's below, you know, where your eye is. And then where the base is actually fairly far below. Now, when you took this picture, you were fairly close to it, so it distorted it a bit, which cameras do.
Well, yes, I couldn't understand why the ellipse was so narrow on top and almost totally round on the bottom.
Well, because this is closer to your eye level, which is really kind of what we
Okay.
have here. And then this is farther.
So it's sort of like, so it's like a downward shot, looking downward.
Yeah, it's the angle, and plus the fact that you're really kind of close to it. If you were a little further back, then the differences in the ellipse probably wouldn't be quite so extreme, right? But because you're fairly close to it, you know, it looks more extreme because it is kind of a downward angle. And that's kind of what I was going to point out to you here, is that you see you kind of kept your ellipses the same here
Right.
and here, and that wouldn't really happen, you know. This one is always going to be a little more open because, again, it's further below your eye level, so you can see a little more of it. And this is going to be a little more closed.
Yeah, and I'd say, and I did notice that after I finished it, then I went back, but I said that was my memory, I guess, was failing.
Well, yeah, but it's, again, you know, the purpose of this was to kind of look at it and try to notice those differences, you know, so you could get them, you know, in the piece. And, you know, and so, okay, you missed that one, that's fine. But, you know, just keep in mind, you know, when anything that you're doing, particularly if you're doing a still life, that perspective, you know, that perspective is one of those things that's real subtle, but if it's not right, then it just doesn't look right, you know, and it shows up, you know, pretty clearly. So, you know, particularly with ellipses and things like that, really look at the differences, you know, between an ellipse up here and an ellipse down there when you're drawing, you know, cylinders and things like that, because they're not going to be the same, because they're not at the same, you know, level to your eye with each other. So one's going to be a little more open, one's going to be a little more closed. So just keep that in mind while you're doing it. But, you know, if I were trying to do something like that, you know, again, trying to save glass, you know, you put the wall back here on the table, and you do have an indication you can see the table through it. So that really helps. And it'll tell you that it's a transparent, you know, piece of glass.
Right.
Right. So that part works really well. You know, but having other objects or something that you see through it, helps kind of.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It looked almost like a piece of stoneware.
Yeah, and if this were not here, if this color didn't come through and you didn't see that edge of the table right there, it would look more opaque, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, you got enough of that in there so that you understood that it was actually glass. The other thing about glass is glass is like one of those like really highly reflective, very smooth surfaces. And when you look at the glass here, there's a lot of like really strong dark values, particularly around the handle and around the base here, that you didn't get, in your final piece. So again, it's like any kind of really hard reflective surface, you're going to have a high degree of contrast, extreme lights, extreme dark. The less reflective something is, the less contrast and value is there. And that's
so I tried to indicate the reflectiveness, but you get the rounded shape that would look like the reflections were on the front outside, and then the inside back.
But you could take what you got here, and again, really find some of those strong darks up in here and along the base, and of course open up the lips here. But really push the value down darker, and it would begin to look more like glass. Okay, because you need that high contrast, to make it feel like a hard surface.
But I couldn't think of what to use as a memory item, and I'm not real proficient in still life, so I took probably the two most difficult and took the challenge.
Yes, you did. You just jumped into the deep end of the pool there. Yeah. Yeah, sometimes it's like some of the things that we think that are so simple, turn out to be probably one of the most challenging things. Reflective surfaces, transparency, all of that stuff is really just, it's a lot more complicated than you really think.
Yeah.
You're out there. Yeah. Okay.
But that was my attempt.
Okay, and that's good. It's good to try it. And I want you to keep trying, doing things like that. And, and just keep working and see if your observation skills begin to get better,
Yeah.
as time goes on.
Right.
Okay. Because you can learn a lot by doing that. You really can. So it's well worth the effort. Okay, let's see. I'm guessing, I'm not quite sure who that is who downloaded it. I want to say maybe that's Eloise, but I didn't quite look like the drawing style. This is Wanda's, okay, and I think I've got that. Is Wanda here?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, we got Linda here. Hi, Linda. Jean's not here, is she?
No.
No, okay. How about June? I saw her.
June, we got.
Yep. June, where are you?
I'm here.
Okay, there you are. I wanted to make a comment about your drawing, Sam.
Thank you. I'm listening.
Okay, yeah, this is a very nice drawing. It is. It's got a nice feeling to it.
Very nice, yeah.
Yeah.
And so much emotion is in it.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell what she's thinking. You tell, what kind of thought pattern she's in.
Yeah. Now, is this a copy of one of the drawings that I used as an example?
Yeah, I think you show us the one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I showed you several classical drawings. Okay, so this is a copy of one of the classical drawings.
Yes.
And
Is that the art class? Is that the art class?
Yes, our class.
Yeah.
I just
No, not on ice. It was on Friday. Friday when we were doing the drawing.
Friday, yeah. I did a screenshot.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Well, I had shown before I got into us actually drawing. I had some examples of kind of classical, from like 1800s all the way to like 1900, academic drawings. And so
Okay.
this was one of them. This is
Yeah.
another one. And then this was one as well. This is by Ang. Well, this is by Jim, but
That's
he
funny.
copied it off of a drawing by Ang. And then there's this one right here. Okay. Now, was this one of the classical drawings? Yeah, I guess it was. I remember that drawing now. Okay. Yeah. And so, you were copying the drawings, and that's good. That's fine. You can do that to practice. The thing in doing those drawings is really look at, how they use, line and tone, and then try to copy that. See if you can, put it down, the way that they did. Now, immediately, the thing that sort of jumps out about this drawing over a lot of your other drawings is, again, that line weight and value where it's dark and light. And so, that was already kind of worked out for you, and you picked it up and you more or less followed it. And so, trying to get some line variation, and if you're going to use value, use value kind of softly and kind of make nice transitions and stuff like that, then, that would be nice if you could take the variety of line and tone and work it into, say, a drawing like that one, right? Which was your drawing from,
Yes.
right? Yeah. So let's see, did you take some of this and actually get into there? Well, not so much. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, your line here doesn't vary very much. It's all kind of the same, other than, when you came in here and kind of reinforced the outline of the foot, right? Or like the front line of the face, okay? Or you got really, really kind of dark and kind of heavy under the jawline. See? So getting a little more of a softer, sort of subtle feel, like you did in this drawing, would help right there.
Okay.
Okay. So that's one of the things that, drawing from life really helps with, because drawing is not something that you're going to pick up, by doing it for a few weeks. It's something that you have to do. It's a practice. It's like you have to do it almost like every day. Even if you only do it for 5 minutes a day, just doing it, will help improve your ability to use the tools and to see values. And, there's so many things that you can learn from just doing sketches, that are real quick from life. And over a period of time, you begin to see things a little more clearly and get a little better at being able to express them with either line or tone. Because there's really, those are really the only two things in drawing that we really have to work with, is the type of line that we make, and or, how we create a value or a tone. Now that could get into like texture and stuff like that as well. But, we're real limited with kind of the things you can do in a drawing. And so, practice those, try to get better at them. Now, you made some good decisions in the ballerina, in the sense that, okay, you left her overall as a lighter value, and then you put a darker background, behind her. And so that separated her from, the color of the page here. And that, that was a good decision. The thing that's kind of working against you by putting that dark over in is that once you put the dark in, then I probably would have taken a paper towel or my finger or something and rubbed it back. You seem to do that in here, See how it made it nice and soft? But over here,
Okay.
it's
Uh-huh.
very kind of scratchy, right? And so,
Yeah.
yeah, if that if the value were dark, but that was soft, then the line work in here would
Uh-huh.
read a little bit better. Okay.
Okay.
And so,
Thank you.
soften that background bit. Okay. And then leave the line work
Okay.
that you have on the figure the way it is. Okay. Don't change it.
Okay.
Just soften
Mm-hmm.
the outside.
Soft, yeah.
Okay. And that will make,
Okay. Thank you.
yeah, that will make the figure kind of pop out there. Okay. All right.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Here's, here, I don't really know who did this drawing originally, but it was a really nice study of this guy's head, and particularly with the hair, and using the line work to sort of describe the form of his head. Now, along with that line work, he had he had put in an underlying value that went from kind of dark back here to a mid-tone along the front, and then a little bit of light, like right up in here, to really turn the form in the head. And you didn't quite get that in your drawing there, but you did. You saw like a lot of the features and things on the face here. You got most of those. It's just here in the hair, just that little change in value. From here being a little bit darker to something that's a little bit lighter, and then back to something that's quite a bit darker back here, would have rounded out the head more for you. Okay.
Okay.
So you need to look at those and look at the change in value. Right.
Thank you.
Okay. And then we have Susan, who I think Susan got a phone call, so she's off good now. Veronica, you're here. Right? Yay.
Yes, I'm here.
All right. So Veronica's been a busy girl. We got her ballerina, so she got the gesture of the pose, and generally the movement of it. You didn't get real detailed with it, but that's fine. But again, try putting down a line once. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. You tend to go back and worry about like restating lines multiple times. Just put it down once. The first time you put it down is probably as accurate as 10th or the 15th. Okay.
Okay.
And that would be directly from the lips of Barbara actually. you know she had a term for that. It's called drawing with authority. And so you just even if it's not perfect, it doesn't matter. But putting that line down there one time says that, okay, this is what I saw. If you put it down 2 or 3, then it kind of begins to say, well, I kind of think it's there, but I'm not really sure. And maybe it could be a little over here, it could be a little over there, or the arm could be a little fatter, or it could be a little skinnier. We don't really know. And so, it's, one time, and then it's like, okay, that's what it is. That's what the artist saw, right?
Okay.
And so that's what that means by drawing with authority. Okay. And really, that's the only thing that I would advise you here is just practice. Just make a line and leave it alone. Don't unless you have some reason to go back. Let's say that the value is darker on one side. So okay, so maybe you come back in, and you hit it a couple more times and get a little tone on one side and leave the other side, the way you originally put it down, so that again, you're saying that there's light coming from one side or another and there's shadow on the other. Something like that, okay. But, just restating lines, not a good idea. Then we have this lovely little sketch. Looks like you've been hanging out with Pablo Picasso.
Right. I'm working with inks and watercolor.
Okay.
So just playing around to
Mhm.
see how I like it.
Yeah. So this is like an acrylic ink?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And then you were using a brush.
I was.
Yeah. I could see the brush mark. And look at the nice variety that you've got, from this kind of grainy, kind of broken area to something that's a little bit, finer and smoother. These are a little more definite, right? And see, that's something that, using a tool like a brush, you've got a lot more variety, that you can get out of it than you can a lot of times with a piece of charcoal or pencil or something like that. And that's why I really like brushes. And, back in, say, the 17, 1800s, when they were doing ink drawings and things like that, a lot of times they would use like these little steel point quill pens, but a lot of those drawings too were done with brushes, like
Oh,
small,
okay.
small little detail brushes, to make all the little hatch lines and stuff like that. Because again, they could get a lot more variety out of the thickness and the weight of them. And it really kind of made some beautiful drawings that way. Then you have the triangles, okay, and
Right. And my inspiration came from the ballerina's dress, the bottom of it.
oh, okay, all right. Well, it made a nice composition, you know, and the fact that you didn't make the two equal, that you made one darker and heavier and the other one lighter, is kind of interesting. And it's got a lot of movement in it. It's not static, so that's good. And this is with the ink as well.
Yes.
Okay. And then you have these kind of gestural drawings. I kind of read that as a tree. But
It is.
yeah, actually, it was more like a forest because you've got other trees back here. See, Veronica is like, success. He knew what it was. It was a great reaction. All right. Yeah. But that's, it's a nice little drawing, a nice little sketch, very kind of modernist feel to it. Yeah, you need to do more of these. These are fun. These are good.
Okay.
Same thing with these. Now this is, it looks like figures to me.
Well, it did, but I was just like, okay, let's see how I can, make things move a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like, I see figures all through here. It's like the top of a woman's head, with long hair, and there's her shoulder, and there's like a leg coming down, and here's like her back and hip. A leg coming out here with the side of the torso, the arm, shoulder behind the head. I mean, you can make figures out of these all day long. Um, were you looking at figures when you were doing it, or?
No, I was really thinking about what's that, Cicely Brown,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Cecily Brown.
so her work is somewhat like this as well. So that was the inspiration.
Right. But her work is all about the female figure. Because that's all
Yeah.
she does, is female figures. They're very abstract, but just like these. But yeah, she's a good person to look at. She has a lot of really interesting work. Okay. And then we have, it looks like another one of your tree series.
Yeah. Well, okay. So it's a tree in my backyard. It's a little bit closer to you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the paper curls, so apparently I got the wrong paper.
Well, well, this doesn't really look like, was it supposedly watercolor paper?
Well, it just said a multi-purpose paper.
Oh, like
I don't think it's heavy enough for watercolor.
well, you could use watercolor on it, but the thing is, you can't use it real wet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like, some papers you can get a little bit of water on and they're okay and they don't buckle and curl when you too much. But after a certain point, you know, they're gonna get wavy and kind of all crazy.
Yeah.
And so, you know, if you're laying in like big areas, like in the background in here,
Yeah.
you probably want to go over it with not as much water in the brush and build it up.
Okay.
Yeah, build it up slowly. Like you might put a passage down, let it totally dry, and then go back and put another one down. Right? Don't be in a big hurry to get, you know, the pigment down there so fast.
Okay.
You know, but you probably could have gotten it, you know, fairly dark like that if you would have gone back and hit it like 3 or 4 times with just a lot less water in the brush.
Okay.
The other thing that you can do is you can always stretch the paper. You know, so, you know, is this in like a sketch pad?
Yeah, I could rip it out though. Yeah.
Yeah, but if you're gonna use like a lot of really wet, you know, washes and stuff on that paper or really any paper, you know, tape it down to your tabletop or to like a drawing board, and
Okay.
you know, all the way around, you know, put down some masking tape or something, you know, to hold it in place. And then before you even start painting on it, take the brush and some water, and just put water on it, get it all wet, and let it just kind of, you know, soak in, and it will begin to pull tight, you know, and once
Okay.
it's, you know, pulled tight and flat, then you can go back in and paint on it.
Okay.
And that way you don't have to worry about it buckling and curling on you, right? If you stretch it. So. Watercolor is a lot of work if you do it.
It is. Okay.
Yeah. You know, depending on the paper you're working on, you can be very spontaneous and stuff with it, and you don't have to do that. As long as you're not getting too wet. But, you know, that's a problem with working with sketch pads. Not many sketch pads are really as thick, heavy, to really carry like a lot of watercolor. So you really gotta get used to working kind of delicately and slowly and be patient with it. You can't just get there all at one time. So,
Okay.
okay. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, and then we got Wanda here at the bottom, and that's her ballerina. We saw that earlier. Okay. Oh, Susan, you're back.
Can you go back to me?
I will. I will.
Okay. I had to get a phone call. I'm sorry. I just had to.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, yeah. I looked and you were missing, so.
Okay.
And that's why we kind of skipped ahead. But no, I wasn't going to leave you out. There we go.
Okay.
So this is your idea of working with a you know, a color pencil, and then I guess it's graphite in the background.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and see that actually worked out much better than I thought it would, because in the past you tried to mix the two, you know, by working both of them in the same area, and this way at least you kept them isolated, and it separates the dress out really nicely from the background. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, and so good. You know, you pulled that off, you know, pretty well. Probably what I would have recommended though, here where you did this in graphite, you know, then when you came out for the dress here, I would have done her other foot, you know, both of these feet in graphite.
Oh, you would? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and just left the dress, you know, in the blue color pencil.
Okay.
Yeah, because this is all kind of part of like the skin tone and stuff like that. So I would have kept that kind of consistent and same. Now, I guess when I'm looking at this, and if I take and I cover up the bottom of the dress, it's really, her whole upper torso is pretty nicely proportioned, and all of that works pretty fine, you know, really well. The part that doesn't work as well is that you tried to squeeze, you tried to squeeze your foot onto the page rather than let it just go off the side. And then here, you know, again,
Didn't go far down enough. Okay.
Yeah.
I realized that afterwards, but then I didn't have anything to erase it with. So, but,
Yeah.
so that was okay.
Yeah, but believe me, you know, I've been there, you know, where you run out of the edge of the page and it's like, oh, I really want to get that foot on there, and you put it in there and you go,
Yeah, I need to get one of those electrical erasers, I guess.
yes. See, that's an easy
Okay.
solution. You could do that. You could just get an electric eraser, and then you could erase that Prismacolor pencil pretty easily. Okay. But, you know, again, you got kind of nice movement and gesture in the pose. So all of that works, you know, really pretty well. So that's good.
Thank you.
Yeah. Did you, how did everybody feel about drawing that ballerina on Friday? Was that
Yeah, it
tedious
was,
or fun, or did you, you know, was there something you liked about it or not?
I liked it. I liked it because her torso bent so much, and I was trying to get that, so I liked it for that reason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was a lot of
In
movement.
that angle, that torso.
Mm-hmm.
I got there late. Was that the entire one drawing? That was it, or did you have others?
No, it was just that one.
How much time was allotted?
Almost an hour.
I think it was 50 minutes. I think it was
Yeah.
50 minutes. You missed 15 minutes, I think, yeah, because you had written on your paper. You were
Yeah,
there
right. Yeah.
5 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, we did it, you know, we did it the whole last, you know, hour of the class, because I spent the first hour, you know, kind of talking about drawing techniques and showing those sort of classical drawings,
Mhm.
you know, so that everybody had kind of an idea of, you know, what they should be shooting for. You know? But so yeah, so you came in late, John?
Yeah, I came in about 11:15, and by the time I got started, it was about 11:35, 25. So I spent about 35 minutes on my drawing.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, the idea was to take your time and, you know,
Yeah.
just have fun. You know.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if there were others or not, but I came in and I saw that, so I just started drawing.
Okay. Well, yeah, that was actually the only drawing that we got accomplished that day.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was a nice Friday anyway. It was a nice way to ease into the weekend. So.
I would like to try the lion at some point.
Oh, he's coming back. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, he's not going away. Yeah, anything that I don't use this week, you're going to see it in the next couple of weeks. You know?
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to be drawing it sooner or later. So.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I got a couple things I want to share with you. First of all, the big painting that I did, that went down to Digital Arts here in Atlanta, and they photographed it, or actually they scanned it is what they did. And I want to show you the image of it because it's considerably brighter than the photographs that I was able to take, you know, here at my house. So that's a lot more representative of the color and the intensity of it. They did a really good job, and that was a big painting. It was a 48 by 60. But they got the color and the contrast and stuff in it. So I was happy with it. So that's actually, that is the low resolution digital file, which is still pretty high resolution. The you know, the file that they would make the prints from was almost 2 gigabytes, you know, in size. This is only about I think like 12 to 14 megabytes. But even with that, you know, it's really nice and sharp and clear. And, you know, you get a lot of the subtlety of the color, you know, like in the flesh tones and things like that. So I was happy with, you know, how that.
Now, is that just for digital, or are you going to have prints made, or how does that?
Well, I'm not going to have prints made, but she's going
You just did it to get a sharp photograph.
yeah, but she, the Claudia who commissioned this piece, she's going to have prints made because she's going to. Well, she's already sent the print to her brother, and I talked to him yesterday, and he was very happy with the painting. He liked it a lot. And then, you know, their family members. So she's going to, you know, basically send prints to a lot of them. And so everybody's getting a print of John for Christmas. But again, the detail that they got, you know, and the contrast and the color was, you know, really pretty good. You know, they picked up pretty much all of it. And, so that was a really nice, you know, thing to see. You know, because like I said, you know, the photographs that I shot, they're okay, you know, but overall they're much darker and they don't have the intensity, you know, in the color that this does. So it was nice to see that get done. You know, that's not an inexpensive process, and you know, you're not going to do it for every painting, but you know, when you can get, you know, a high res digital file like that, it's a good representation of the work itself. So I was happy with that. The other thing I was going to show you is this is my drawing from Friday. Okay, so that was the 50 minutes, and I didn't work on this after that. It's just, you know, that's what was in the sketchbook, and I think it was June. A couple of you, you know, put in a darker background, you know, to get her to sort of stand forth. That was a good solution. You know, that's a good way of going about it. So, you know, anytime you can put something in the background to get the figure to pop out, you know, do it. On Saturday, you know, I got a little bored sitting around the house, so I went out and I went to Rev Coffee over here in Smyrna, and I sat around and I sketched people, you know, as they, at the coffee shop working on their computers and stuff like that. So, you know, these are like quick little sketches, you know, from life, you know, of all the different people sitting there. And just kind of random, you know, you kind of see somebody and do like a quick sketch. There's probably none of these that are more than, you know, much more than really about 5 minutes. And, you know, just trying to capture some of their features, proportions, you know, kind of feel of what they, you know, look like. So, you know, if you don't have the opportunity to go to a drawing group or something, you know, and you can't find live models, restaurants, coffee shops, libraries, you know, things like that, even shopping malls, you can go just sit, you know, and sketch people as they walk by, or, you know, somebody standing around close to you sitting at a table. You know, again, you know, just practicing drawing from life is always a good thing to do. So. And the other thing I want to share with you is, what is it? Friday night? Yeah, we went to the Botanical Garden for the light show, and it was really nice this year. You know, they had some spectacular lights up this year. And so there's the botanical, or part of the Botanical Garden. How many people have gone to the Botanical Garden for that light show? Have any of you ever been to that? No?
No, not.
Yeah, it's gotten kind of expensive. It's about, I think it's like $45 a ticket. It's kind of steep.
Where is it?
At the Atlanta Botanical Garden.
Oh yeah, I've been there maybe about 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah, during the Christmas time.
Okay, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah,
it was a little different than that, but
yeah, well they do.
I made the scene I remember is different than that, but yeah.
Oh well, yeah, there's lots of things to look at, you know, and I took pictures of a lot of them, you know. So yeah, you know, the lights were beautiful.
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised they even had parts of the orchid house open.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
On the water.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, yeah, they've got a fountain at each end, kind of a reflecting pool. So, but there's inside the greenhouse. That's the jungle, the tropical area, and it was really pretty in there. They had a lot of like little laser lights. It looked like little bugs flying around. It was kind of fun. Their fountains with the glass work. This is a piece by Dale Chihuly, and they've got several of these in the garden, I guess, that they purchased. This is my favorite part of the garden. This is down by the lake, and they've got this huge goddess that they did this sort of earthwork sculpture, and they plant her in flowers, seasonal flowers every during different parts of the year, and then Christmas they put lights on it. But she's been there for what, probably about the last 5 years. So yeah. There's my ugly mug. Yeah. And it was a nice night to go on Friday night because the weather was pleasant. It wasn't cold. It was cool, but still nice for being out walking around. You didn't need a big heavy coat. It was probably like 50 degrees. So it really was a nice evening. This is from the walkway, that goes through the forest. This is some of the lights that they had hanging from the trees. Yeah, and that walkway again. But yeah, it was pretty. It was really nice.
Yeah.
If you guys get a chance to go, it's a nice way to go spend the evening. And you can get tickets if you want wine or something like that. You can have a little bit of wine, stroll around the garden.
Was that the first weekend? I know I saw it advertised.
I think it started about like the early part of November.
Oh, okay.
So,
Wow.
yeah, it's been up for a little while, but you can go all the way up to just about like Christmas Day.
Oh, and past. I think when I went, it was past Christmas Day.
Yeah, I don't know how much further past Christmas that they have it open for the light show. They may still be up for a while, but but
another good time to go really is springtime in the daytime.
well, actually, the very best time to go is actually kind of mid-spring. About the time all of the daffodils come up, and at that point they've got all kind of flowers blooming, and it's beautiful there. But I was really surprised, walking through the garden. A lot of the camellias and what do they call those? The little white flowers that are real fragrant. They grow on a big bush.
Oh,
Gardenia.
Gardenias, yeah, they were all in bloom. And you'd walk by one of those, and it would kind of knock you down, because the air was
in a
just
good
sweet.
way. In a good way.
Oh yeah, yeah. The air was just so sweet, when you walk by those gardenia bushes. But they were beautiful, and like I said, they're all in full bloom right now. So if you can get out there, and even during the daytime, it's probably a nice place to go. But it's a nice little asset to have. And if you go in the spring, like I said, all the flower beds, will have flowers in them. Particularly, things. Oh God, what is that? Not lilies, but
Tulips,
yeah,
daffodils.
yeah, daffodils. Yeah, I think daffodils are like the first things that come up, you know. But if you go anytime after that, you know, there'll be lots and lots of flowers out. Midsummer is always nice to go because they have a gardening section, you know, for like vegetable gardens and stuff like that. And they've got some interesting classes, both gardening classes and also cooking classes that you can attend during the late spring, you know, and summer. And those are always really, really fun to go to. So, you know, if you haven't been to the Botanical Garden, go check it out. And now they actually have two locations. They have one where the original Botanical Garden was, but they also have one that's out in, what is it, Lake Lanier? Yeah.
Okay.
You know, out toward Lake Lanier. And they've got a big, like, amphitheater or performance venue there at Lake Lanier, and they have a lot of concerts and things out there. So, and that's, they have concerts here in Atlanta, but they're not, you know, they're not as big because they don't have the same setup or the same space for them. But they actually built an amphitheater out there, you know, at the garden in toward Lake Lanier, and so, you know, they've got some really, really good, you know, performers go out there and, you know, give shows. So you might look into that as well, just in case you're looking for something to do. Anyway, anybody got anything else we want to talk about? No? Current events, politics, you know.
Don't even want to
History.
get into that.
Yeah, you don't want to get into any of that?
Not today. Not today.
Oh, yeah. Well, hey, you know, trying to get you guys to be a little more talkative. You're so quiet these days. So, anyway. Well, if nobody's got anything else, then I guess we'll say adios until tomorrow morning, okay?
I won't be here tomorrow, but I'll be at the dentist tomorrow.
I feel sorry for you.
Thank you. I do too.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna throw you guys a curveball. We're gonna watch something that's really unusual, okay? We're gonna watch one thing on a very short thing on visual arts, but then we're also gonna watch something. It's Yo-Yo Ma, who's
Oh,
a
yes.
violinist, and what is it? The
Cello?
pardon?
Cello?
Yeah, he plays the cello, but it's him, and he's been working on kind of a worldwide project with musicians all over the world, and they kind of put this traveling ensemble together, I guess you would call, and really interesting sound, you know. But it's the whole background story, you know, on that whole project, and it's beautiful to watch and great to listen to. There's some really interesting, good music. You know, and no, it doesn't have to do with painting, but hey, guess what? You know, it's an art. So we're still safely in the realm of arts, okay?
Okay.
All right. And Bernice can listen to some classical music.
Is there a movie in front of it?
Oh yeah, no, it's a video. It's about an hour and a half.
I'm just picking on you.
Yeah, but no, you'll enjoy it. It's fun. It's a great film. So, you know, I was duly impressed. That's why I want to share it with you. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anyway,
Okay.
on that happy
Okay.
note, yeah, have your coffee, your snack, your popcorn, whatever you want. You know, yeah, for tomorrow morning. Okay.
Okay.
Let's see you all then. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.